Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to be covering the kitchenette, the sink. So as you can see there, being this is an L-shaped kitchenette, you got a little prelim there of what it's going to look like. Basically, I took the end piece and used that as my line on the back wall as far as the height so that it would be level. And I just went ahead and marked off where it was going to go. And then I'm going to come back with a piece of 1x2 and mount that just underneath the line there with some countersunk screws in order to give something for the back side of the kitchenette to be mounted up against. I believe on this side I'm actually using a 1/2-inch poplar, I do believe, and I think the other side was birch. The only reason for the change up was Home Depot had ran out of the one or the other, and I wound up having to go with a different type from Lowe's, so that's why there's going to be a little bit of a difference there. Once I confirmed all my measurements, I went ahead and started mocking it back up again and just making sure I had everything positioned where I wanted it to. I then went back with some white glue on the edges and some countersunk screws there on the top to the side, as well as the piece on the back wall. Then used 90-degree angle brackets in order to secure the side to the top and the side piece to that back wall of the 5mm plywood. Now, I'm not sure what happened to the footage of me installing the side of the sink there, or the sink top. I thought I'd recorded it and I may have accidentally deleted it, but you'll see here in just a second what it looks like. And as you see there's the side of the sink, which is L bracketed to the floor. I just met the height of the kitchenette there and then did some L brackets and some tie straps to secure it. The piece of wood there in the front is just to hold the two water containers from falling out. The one on the bottom is used for the freshwater supply, and the one on the top is for the gray water. Now, I was also going to do one on the other side, but again, lost footage. If you remember me talking about the header above the windows, the piece of wood that extended out past, those are there in order to be able to mount brackets or shelves or something of that nature. And my original idea was to put these wire baskets up on the wall, which we're going to attach to that. I only put one above the kitchenette and I did two on the other side. But obviously there's plenty of room there in order to add another 2 or 3 later on down the road, just depending on how it comes together later on, and I decide if I want to add more. The wire baskets I got were from Amazon. They came in a 3-piece set, and they were 16.5 by 6x4. They actually worked out rather well for what I was wanting. Of course, I would have preferred silver or chrome or something along those lines instead of just the black, but once I got them installed, they actually look pretty good. In retrospect, after taking the camper out for the first time, I would probably add at least 2 more baskets just for the extra storage. Predominantly, I'm using them to hold cups, salt, pepper, things like that over the kitchenette, and then on the other side was for like towelettes and mix match of different things that I had just thrown up in there. On the kitchenette side, I think I'm going to wind up putting a couple more baskets up against the back wall just to add more kitchen space or kitchen storage. However, I had at least a week's worth of groceries in the camper. All the fresh food was down in the refrigerator, the bodega. So there's not actually a refrigerator mounted in here, but it's a roll cooler type, which I'll show a picture of right here. But all the dry goods went underneath the counter just fine, and there was still plenty of space on the top for the 1-burner stove. Here you can see the little portion of the L of the kitchenette there, which is where the sink is going to go. Now, originally I was going to put a stainless steel, basically like a salad bowl, recessed down in there, but unfortunately I could not find one. And I was starting to get down to the last wire before I was getting ready to go on this trip. So I actually had this little pot over here from a previous camping set and decided that I would wind up using that. So it does have some clasps on the side, which I cut off with the Dremel tool. And then since it does have that upper lip, to rest on the wood, I went ahead and cut out a circular pattern there on the top of the counter for it to sit down and recess into. I did attach the bowl with just some Gorilla Glue, so here in the future, when I get the opportunity to find the correct bowl that I wanted to use and be able to drill the hole, I just went ahead and used this as a temporary solution. For the faucet, I actually borrowed an idea from another YouTuber who came up with this. This is not an original thought on my process. This was a water faucet or water dispenser, I guess. It fits on top of 5-gallon jugs, or I guess 1 gallon and above jugs. It actually fits on the cap, the blue cap, which seals the bottle top, and you just whip out the center of it, and you feed the tube down through that into the water bottle. It's 12 volt powered. You basically just charge it up, and once it's ready to go, it's supposed to last for the entire 5-gallon bottle. I didn't test that theory, however, it did last on 2.5 gallons for 3 days. There was no problem with it, and it's actually still got a full charge. So it's a great idea, and it keeps you from having to run plumbing and crap like that. So for that faucet to sit on top of the caps, I had to come up with a way to be able to mount the caps on the countertop. So I just used a hole drill to, I didn't go all the way through with it. I just cut probably down about 1/4 of an inch into the wood, and then routed out the top, or I should say drilled out the center hole, which is where the tube is going to feed through. So the caps you can buy on Amazon. They're like $10 a dozen. They're like $5 for 5 of them or something along those lines. And basically that's just to sit in that hole, or in the place which I routed out around. That's all it's for there. Once you flatten it out a little bit, it'll rest in there, and I secured it with some Gorilla Glue to hold on to it. Now I did double stack these only because they seemed a little flimsy since they're not actually sitting on top of a bottle. Now I guess another way you could have done this would be to cut the top off a bottle, which I think is what the other YouTuber did, and then fed that up through the bottom and glued it into place, and then you can set the cap on top of that. So I might go back and do that. Again, time was getting away from me, so I had to get this completed before I was due to leave, and this was literally the day before, so I just wanted to get it in there so I could get it mounted and get some running water for when I was out at the site.